You are now entering the LuxCore Studios. And you've secured a seat for the Protecting Your Radius podcast. Here, we build connections from your contracting profession to some of the top bleeding edge products and services. Don't get deterred. Let's not delay. Here is your host, Nathan Downs.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Protecting Your Radius podcast. I am your host, Nathan Downs, and today we have a guest with us, Brandon Newsom.
Hey, what's going on, man?
With Fortress Fence out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he is going to be talking to us, man, a lot about, he's got a lot of questions for me about taking his business to the next level, starting a business in contracting in general and just businesses in general. And man, we're going to jump through the weeds. So Brandon, everybody's going to want to know first and foremost, man, tell us about you and your background, how you got into fencing and all that stuff.
Oh, man, it's a second generation, I guess you should say, business owner. My stepdad had a lawn service. I worked with him a lot. My mom did a lot of picking and collecting bills and bossing me around a lot and getting things taken care of.
Nice.
You know.
What'd you do first when you were a kid? Were you working for your parents, like in high school?
Oh, yeah. Or? High school. No, yeah. I was 12.
Okay.
13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Cutting grass.
Right on.
Cutting lots of grass.
My son's about to be that age, so I'm like, you better get ready.
It's time to get with it. Our wrestling coach used to have us chunking hay.
Oh,
you know, just a summertime gig.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it was fun.
So what did you do for work through high school? Did you work in high school, do sports or?
Yeah, I worked at Discovery Zone, man. I worked with like lots of kids.
Okay.
We had lots of fun.
We were talking about this earlier. Most people, no one would know except for us from Tulsa, right? What Discovery Zone is.
Man, Discovery Zone is like an old-time arcade where you actually have to interact with other kids.
Yeah, like a main event without video games.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That is awesome. They
Physical
had the tubes and stuff and the obstacle course, right?
Yeah.
I remember,
pit,
right?
You know?
The ball pit, yeah. The giant ball pit. That's awesome. I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, it was horrible cleaning. Kids peeing there.
That's nasty.
Man.
So you got done with Discovery Zone, graduating high school and stuff like that. Did you look at doing any like trade school, college?
I went to welding school.
Oh, okay.
I went to Tulsa Welding School. Good old 6 months.
Nice.
It was too cold to weld.
So what was your story with that?
Well, my mom said, well, if you don't go to school, you know, you got to get up out of here.
Sure.
And so I went to school.
Yeah.
And did welding for about 6 months. Got cold. Bus stop, too cold. Early mornings, late nights. I didn't want to do it anymore, so I just stopped.
Yeah.
It's 19 years old. I was stupid. I didn't know.
So you had a little bit of welding experience at that point.
Yes.
Gotcha. Then what'd you do for work coming out of that?
Oh, man. Coming out of it. It was carpet cleaning. Worked at Stanley Steamer.
Right on.
You know, learn how to deal with people, customers, different ethnicities.
Yep.
It plays a big part in customer service and just,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, being right. You know what I'm saying?
And I think you'd mentioned that a lot of Stanley Steamer, a lot of that was sales.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you learned how to talk to people.
Exactly. How
to interact. Like you said, different ethnicities, different husbands and wives and partners. And
just understanding people.
Yeah. That's good.
Like
You've always, the whole time I've known you for a decade now,
mm-hmm.
I always thought like the first time we met, I think I was a manager at Allied.
Yeah, you were.
Wasn't it right? Yeah.
It was Allied Fence.
And, you know, I was just so impressed with how you carried yourself.
Thank you.
And then just like your attention to detail, even in ordering your parts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you can always tell people that get the building side of it
mm-hmm.
just by how you like ask for an order, like your build out and stuff. Like, you know, someone like you could tell the hacks that come in, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So don't be a hack. Like if you feel like you're a hack, don't be a hack. Right. I mean, like, like learn. So let's rewind back into that learning fence and learn in the construction business.
Oh man. Getting on the fence was a hard winter. And I had to get a job. You know, I had a baby and a 1-year-old. And so I had to provide. Couldn't just stay at home and just not go do work.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 or 3 jobs a week. You know, that's kind of hard. Just no excuses.
Sure.
Bills need to be paid. Jeremy Harris took me on and said, "Hey, come build some fence with us."
Yeah.
Cool. I don't care how cold it is. I don't worry about the weather. Did landscape it all my life. I didn't really care about weather.
Right. So Jeremy Harris owned, at the time, it was
Cedar Concepts.
Okay.
Shout out Cedar Concepts, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Harris, whole crew, man. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they taught you all your stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So what did that look like as you were learning with him, and what were the personalities? And because I think there's always a story there as you're learning fence.
Growing up being a wrestler, man, you learn how to have authority. People above you.
Okay.
And I understood, authority. I understood I had to learn from so and so. Sit back, pay attention to detail because you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Jeremy Harris, he brought a lot of that to the table. He's gonna hold you accountable for everything you do.
Yeah.
You dig a hole wrong, got the wrong measurements on something, he's gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah.
There's excuses. You have to dig that hole right back up.
That's good.
No matter what.
That is, I love it.
You gotta dig it back up and get that concrete out of there and get it set the way it's supposed to be set so it can look good. Foundation. Foundation's huge. Mm-hmm. Structure's huge. Mm-hmm. Framing's huge. And he instilled that in me. And so I like building. So anything I put my hands on, I like to take a look at it, take some pride in it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things go on like that these days.
Yeah. And I know over the years, I've referred a handful of people over to you that I was like, man, they're not really in our wheelhouse, or the job might be too small, but for like a smaller crew, you could slide in there and get things knocked out in no time and move on and stuff like that. And I know everyone that I've referred to you personally over the years has been like, Brandon's a freaking stud. And I'm like, well, I know that. I was like, I wouldn't refer him unless I was totally confident that he would save you money from me doing it or having my crews do it.
Yeah.
But make sure that you're done and taken care of and take that just extra step. So we're here today talking about that. Now everybody kind of knows a little bit about you and where you're at. So you started Fortress Fence, your own fence company. How long ago was that?
10 years ago.
Okay. So about a decade. So about the time we met was you were really getting rolling and stuff. So why are you here today?
Man, we want to talk about, how to further my business, further my business mind, you could say, because I wasn't born with this,
Yeah.
I know how to work. I know how to make some money.
Yeah.
But, it's more than, owning the business is more than just making money.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of professionals, Brandon, that are going to be listening to this that are in the same boat.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a one-man show with a couple helpers as need be, right?
Yes.
So your big thing is what does it look like to go from a owner-operator to actually owning a business?
Exactly.
Right. And I had mentioned to you before, I think the first step in starting any business would be making sure you're set up as a business. Okay. So that has a lot of different looks. In some states and some places, there's licensing involved with that, right? There's different types of things, hoops you have to jump through with local governments or municipalities to make sure that you can build a fence or build a gate or whatever we're doing. And so that's the first things first. To even get a license in most states or most places, you normally have to actually have a business entity, right? So you can have an LLC, right? And it could be even a single member LLC, something super simple, $100, $200. You can set it up online, call a handful of companies, just Google it. You can figure out how to set that up, or you can set it up as a corporation. Like what we set up Radius as here is we set up as a sub S corporation. There's sub S and then there's sub C or C corps. And there's lots of different things. You really should consult a tax professional, like a CPA or someone like that, when setting those up, for anybody that has questions about that. But those are the three main ones that you want to have to indemnify, big word there, indemnify yourself of any liabilities personally, right? So let's say you own all your trucks, you own all your tools, all that stuff like that. Well, if you have it with your house and with any other savings or any other things, assets that you own, if you're set up as a sole proprietor, or you're just using your own social security number, like as a 1099 for anybody, you could be liable if something happens and someone sues you. they could come take your toys.
Yeah.
Or your kids' stuff,
Yeah.
right? So we have to be aware of that when we're starting a business to say, okay, I need to make sure that the business stuff is the business stuff. And then the personal stuff's the personal stuff. Even going so far down, Brandon, is how you spend money with like a credit card, right? So like if you get a credit card for your business, you need to make sure that you're using that credit card only for business and tracking it appropriately. Now, that being said, like my wife and I, we have a company credit card that we use, and then we take the points off of it and use it for our own stuff, right? That's a little trick. A lot of people know that game.
It's a airplane miles.
yeah, right? Go on free trips because we bought a ton of fence material this year, right?
You bought it.
But
right?
what we do is, even in those kind of moments, because I'm the owner and I can do that, I have all that, the resources, we make sure that those are excluded. We use QuickBooks. We make sure those are excluded out of the QuickBooks or whatever, making sure that there's no overlay so you wouldn't see anything confusing, because we weren't using money. It was like fake money, the rewards, like you said, the miles or whatever. Yeah. But that's just one thing where a lot of people can have some major issues, believe it or not, where they just start spending and then they're, they're at Walmart buying TVs and PS5s and that, with the company credit card.
Yeah.
And then you get to tax time and you're handing it over. Hopefully, that's a big point too.
Man,
if you do your own business, get a freaking CPA or someone that does your dadgum taxes. And I am not talking about Jackson Hewitt or H&R Block. Those may be fine, but legitimately, Brandon, for most business people, you got to get someone that does taxes and understands that. That is one of the first things you need to do, because that will help establish the legitimacy of your business. Man, that'll help you establish legitimacy of the business in yourself, right? Because you start treating it like, if you got to spend a couple $1,000s on a CPA at the end of the year, I promise
Spend it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And you're going to treat it like you're not going to go, someone does, you doing that fence thing? You're like, man, please. Like, if you even knew, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a headache sometimes.
You're like, yeah, if this is just a thing, I wouldn't spend thousands of dollars on this crap to make it legit.
Yeah.
But setting up the business entity, understanding the tax liabilities and understanding the liabilities and how to protect yourself from any potential mistakes or mishaps or whatever is really the first key for anyone wanting to get into business and set something up the right way.
Man, don't use somebody that just do these taxes every once in a while, because you're going to be in a world of hurt.
You're right.
If they only do taxes during tax time, that's not a good person to use. I'm just
saying.
You're
not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, and that's what I worry about. Why I mentioned some of the box store tax filing companies.
Yeah.
Is because, I've even got subcontractors that they just take all their receipts and stuff and go to these, and they're out there complaining about, one of them last year had a $60,000 tax bill. And I said,
because they just didn't know.
You have no clue what you're doing. What are you? And it was like, I don't know. Anyways, it was one of the two of those that I mentioned. And I'm going, why? Like, you've made so much money. Yeah. I guarantee, how much did you save? You're like, I saved some, but geez. And I go, yeah. I said, you're not doing it right. I said, you didn't set up a business entity. You didn't track any expenses.
Oh yeah. He
just did himself in. He just took his social security number.
Oh no.
Gave it over. And then I gave him a 1099 and he's like,
I did something like that about 4 years ago. Yeah. We ain't doing that again.
Yeah. So that's important too.
Yeah,
important. Why we're talking about having a business entity, right, set up for a new company to make sure that you don't have undue liabilities on taxes and stuff. So the second thing, which is probably even more important than the first, but you got to have the first to really have a business, right? But the second thing that I think where most people, and this is where we're really going to start our conversation, Brandon, is people as an owner operator get caught up in just getting work, doing work, getting paid, and then that's it. You have to get out of your own way if you want to actually have a business. So like here at Radius, you know, we were talking about this earlier, you know, we're 11 months in or 10 months in or whatever.
And doing great.
And yes, thank you. Yeah, we are. We're doing great. But from day one, when I started here, I knew that I can, but I'm not going out in the field and building a fence.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the reason being is because I have to price and build this thing like it's a legitimate fence company, because it is. And then forevermore treat it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not just taking care of myself. I'm taking care of Donnie. I'm taking care of Brenda. I'm taking care of Ashley. I'm taking care of all the guys, all the different contractors that we're using. You know, so I come into work every day and hustle my butt off with that expectation. Like I'm not looking at it for like, what can I do for myself? I'm looking at it like, what can I do? I have to do these things for all these people that depend on me
Definitely.
to do my job.
Definitely.
So where I do that is the sales and marketing. Like that's my part of the cog in the entire machine, right? So going from start like owner operator, where you're at today, to do that, I'll say the first thing is you have to figure out how to price your jobs like you have a second crew, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to sell those jobs like you have a second crew and start working your way into that until you don't have any more capacity that you have to hire a second crew.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So what questions does that stimulate when I say that? Like going from like building that price line out and stuff like that.
That's a hard one, just because I'm in the middle of that now.
Yeah.
You know, prices just do go up. They have to go up. And I understand why they have to go up now. Yep. You know, it's just not me.
Yep.
You know, when you're working by yourself and you're just working to pay this and working to pay that,
yeah.
You know, you don't price it the way you really need to price it.
Right.
And so all jobs that you don't want,
yeah,
you know, sometimes they just can't afford you, and it's okay.
That's what it is, man.
And so when we stopped doing that, we started working, you know, we're not working for ourselves, we're working against ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we're just fighting to pay bills.
So someone I would recommend that you look into a lot of his YouTube videos and stuff is Shawn King. Are you familiar with Shawn King?
No, sir.
Mr. Fence?
Okay. No, sir.
So Mr. Fence, this actually comes from, I think, a book like Profit First or something like that. But anyways, there's several different books about the tenets of how you price out any type of service or product and stuff. And the easy way to think about it, Brandon, is there's 4 different things you need to have to build out a project for us, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to do a project, you're going to have your material cost, you're going to have your labor cost, you're going to have overhead, and then you're going to have the profit. So Shawn King talks about it as 4 different buckets, right? So it's really kind of cool when you start thinking about it. You'll look at different information, and there's stuff online, and we'll lead some people. I'll find some links to some different videos, and we'll put those in the show notes of this show so people can go out and we won't get into it now because it's real technical, heady stuff. But that's a good baseline to just begin to comprehend of like, okay, every job I have in fence has materials.
Yes.
Like we have to have something to build, and then you have to have a laborer. So you actually have to have someone building said materials. Then there's the overhead. The overhead would be like, in my scenario, like a building, trucks, any other things that you need to get materials and the labor to a job site, complete the job. So it's everything in between. It would be your phones, it would be computers, any type, all of that stuff would fall under overhead, right? And then once all those things are paid, the last thing, which is really should be your first thing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why there's this book called Profit First. So it talks about figuring out what profit you want to have. Like if you want to sell $500,000 next year, but you want to make $100,000, you need to work your way backwards from that. Does that make sense? Like, so you want to start with the $100,000 and then figure out what your costing is. You could analyze it and budget it, especially in a market like ours where we're really hard, like March through October, you know, or March to November, like our market's on fire. So figuring out what that looks like, then breaking it down and then knowing like, okay, well, if I sell this per week, that, you know, or this many jobs at this rate or whatever, this is going to yield these results.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you build that from the ground up or from the profit down, and it'll all equal out there. It's pretty slick. Most of the time, from what a lot of people have talked about, like labor should be somewhere around the 25% mark. Your materials should be 40 to 45%. And then your overhead and your profit's going to break out from there. Yeah. So those are rough numbers. You can all kill me if you want, but
depending on where you're at,
everybody's different. Yeah. But it seems to be very close nationally to those kind of numbers, because what you'll see is in a different market, it just creates a higher price.
Yes, it does.
Right.
But it's not coming down.
Right. Well, that's true too. That's a whole nother, that's a whole nother podcast here.
I'm sorry. It can't come down.
Yeah.
I can't make less.
So yeah. You can't. No. So good point, Brandon. So what do you need to do to make sure that you're not you're not fighting yourself? Step number 1 is stop discounting jobs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I stopped doing that a while ago.
Good.
Knowing my worth, knowing my value, knowing my time.
Yep.
I don't have time. I mean, I would love to. Like, I want to build my own fence at my own house.
Yeah.
I got time.
It's like a mechanic working on their own car.
Exactly.
It ain't gonna happen.
Man, it just runs like crap. But it gets me where I gotta go.
Sorry about it. Yeah.
When it breaks, I'll fix it.
Yeah. So don't discount jobs, right? Know your worth, and then figuring out your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out your numbers is going to be the most vital thing to understanding what your price needs to be.
Can we tap on something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Figure out your worth. I think some people in this world just think their worth is a little bit too much.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of you fence guys, you know what I'm talking about.
Dive into that.
Build a bad fence, get a bad rapport, and we got to come fix it. If you don't know what you're doing, please, YouTube, check out one of his YouTube videos. Please, because you'll save us a lot of heartache and telling the customer we got to tear your whole fence down because they didn't set it right.
We were talking about this the other day on Donnie's show, Downtime with Donnie. And we went out behind a box store last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the posts were set 10 inches in the ground in a V shape. And the guy told the customer to her face that it had 2 to 3 bags per hole. Bro.
See?
Bro.
Something I know your worth. But some of y'all ain't worth what y'all charging.
Oh, no. So it gets better, which no one else has heard this yet, because then Friday night, I'm at basketball practice. She's hitting up the office looking for Donnie. And I completely understand. She said, hey, it looks like we might have missed one thing in here. No big deal. But your price is like, if you add this in, you're going to be higher priced than the other guy and stuff. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, but then literally in the next breath, but I really want to use you guys because Donnie knew what he was talking about. Well, yeah.
You gonna have
That's what I said. And I was like, a couple $100. So I told Donnie, I was like,
hey,
that's why it is a couple $100 more than the other guy.
Yeah.
Because we know what needs to be done. And we've established that. So now you're just bickering, an $8,000 job over $300. I mean,
come on, lady. I really want this job, though. I really want it.
Yeah.
I really want this job.
No, I mean, we're going to help her. I mean, oh yeah, of course. I'm sitting here thinking, we want that. Well, because it's what a great story. You're sitting there thinking, the box store, and that's why they went with the box store originally.
Yeah.
Because of the brand recognition, the trust that they had,
yeah,
only to get destroyed.
Man,
and we're just sitting there talking about it going, who's out there doing this?
Man, rent a jackhammer, dude, if it don't work. If
you're
going to asphalt or concrete.
Yeah, in that neighborhood is East Broken Arrow. It does have some rock and stuff like that. But
you mean East Broken Arrow, almost Catoosa area?
Yeah.
Rock heaven.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
We price a little bit more out there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Goodness, it's hard digging out there.
But we know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
you just got to do it right.
You're sitting there and they're like, they weren't the cheapest. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But to your point, and this is like to everybody's point, as far as when thinking about taking the next steps to start a business, especially contracting, is there is a lot of competition out there, and a lot of your competition is going to be absolute garbage.
Facebook.
Have you seen the guys right now that are on Facebook?
I don't
And
even
they're,
look at.
bro.
Man, look, people will be putting my name. Don't even. I don't even want this job. They're asking for help on Facebook. When you're asking for help on Facebook, that means I have 1,000 guys bidding this job.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guarantee you 998% of them, 998 of them don't know how to build a fence. And then so we're getting bids from handymen.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, fence guys and handymen are not the same. We actually know what needs to be done.
Sure. Yep.
True.
What one of the entities out there that's a fence company in our market's been doing for the last 2 months is they're taking all the pictures off of Binford Supply's website and they're posting it as their own. It even has the watermark. Yeah, it's awesome. I saw this guy in Binford. I saw the guy.
He was in
Binford.
there. Oh
yeah.
my God!
He's like
this guy.
He's like 70 years old.
Oh man, bro. He didn't mean to.
I didn't say to it.
His granddaughter did.
Guys watching this. Yeah, it was an accident, man. No, but I mean that's their business model.
It is.
And what's crazy is like I'm sitting there. Yeah.
Shout out Binford Materials. You guys are awesome.
Hey, if you guys want to sponsor the podcast, then we'd be cool with that too. We can partner up on this thing. So,
money.
Yeah, FSG. Trying to get FSG. That'd be sweet. So that's Binford and Merchants and like 15 other companies now. So they're a big part of the big conglomerate. Anyways, we're off them now. So, but isn't that crazy? Like the guy, so he's posting pictures from Dallas, DFW area.
Oh, wow.
And it's got the Binford logo watermarked on it. And then it's making do you want a pretty fence? And I'm like, Jesus.
Wait,
none of us even built that around here.
Isn't that the corporate building in Dallas?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The hometown logo.
Yeah. So, I mean, but what I'm saying with that is that's what some of the guys out there in the marketplace are doing to present themselves as professionals.
You ain't gonna do that. No, just take a picture of your own stuff and post it.
Yeah. So what have you done over time? I know that was another component of what we wanted to talk about was sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
So what have you done? And then maybe I can throw in some ideas about.
Like I said, we was real big on sales and Stanley Steamer.
Yeah.
Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to sell. And people, they always buy from what they like. So keep a good rep, guys. Don't be on Facebook acting a fool. Well, I do anyway,
I love you on Facebook, Brandon, because you're like, I'm out here hustling my balls off and stuff. And I'm like, God, I love Brandon. I was like, I'm so glad we're friends on Facebook because you're always working, but so am I. I just don't talk about it. But here's the thing. I like that you talk about it because I think there's a lot of stigmas that run in different circles, right? Especially socioeconomic circles, where when I see you say that, I'm glad. I want it to make other people feel uncomfortable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Because I see your buddies say crap, and I'm like, man, I'm getting fired up. I'm on there like, I want to say something, but if I say something, they're going to look on my Facebook profile and be like, I'm going to find him. I'm going to get this mug.
Be some characters.
I love it. I love it.
But it's all about work, man. I have a friend of mine, shout out to Arnie Murillo, man. He taught me about almost like about how you're supposed to structure business, how you're supposed to get down through there and get jobs done no matter what.
That's good.
Don't care if it's raining. Nobody cares.
Yep.
Your job has to get done. A lot of things he told me when in starting business as a kid, man, he's like, you got to own everything.
Yeah.
We don't rent nothing.
Yeah.
We ain't finna rent nothing.
Nope.
We're going to work our tail off and we're going to buy that tool. A lot of guys want to go out there and buy, they go to these little nightclubs, y'all know. They do whatever. Yeah. But I'm out buying tools.
Yeah.
I want toys and tools and anything that makes my job better.
And look at your, you got a flatbed. Probably got a couple trucks. You got that big old 250. All these tools. You got all this stuff.
We got it all.
You got all of it too. And that is a part of becoming a business owner, Brandon. Like just understanding that you have time to play.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're starting a business, that ain't the time to play. Like that's the time to buckle down,
it's not.
To make it happen, to get your house in order.
Yes.
And then propel things.
It's funny you say that. I went and bought 2 jet skis and We went on to the lake probably 3 times that whole year. Because it's not about the fun. You know, we might have these toys. My son's like, hey, let's go to the lake. Now we got a fence to build, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, we got to work harder than what we play. If we're playing more than when we're working, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, these weekends aren't just for play.
Yeah.
I do spend my time with y'all. That's what, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's just time for us to buckle down to get this business straight.
Yep.
You know, this is for you, for your sisters, and we got to build this whole thing together.
So last summer, we both had our boys with us at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
You remember?
Yeah.
And I was behind you. And me and my son, I was getting him lunch. You were getting your son lunch.
Yeah.
And I was calling you like, yo, what up, dude? You know, and I told you, I don't know if you heard me say it, but I had mentioned to you how proud I was as a fellow fence professional that I saw you with your son when I'm with my son, knowing we're all doing the same damn thing out there. We're just getting stuff done on a Saturday.
Exactly.
When everyone else was at home, when all the big corporate guys in town are at home sleeping, going to the lake and stuff like that. That's fine. That's fine. I'll do that one day.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, like we were grinding through it. And I appreciate that as someone else, because I know that now if you take the tools and you continue to learn and grow and set those things up for the business, it's going to happen, man, because you're already putting in the work to do that.
But the guys just got to understand, man, y'all got to put in this work.
Yeah.
Like these are hours and hours and hours and hours, and y'all think y'all want to own a business. If you ain't ready to work, take your ass to work to Benford or somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because we're gonna go out there and get it.
And that's an issue that we have locally too. With now we've got a lot of people interested or looking into getting in the subcontracting market.
Yeah.
And they don't have the experience to actually be a subcontractor. So that makes it awkward.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it makes it really weird where you're like, well, no. And they're like, well, now I need to feed my family. I'm like, well, you shouldn't quit your job. And you need to figure this thing out in whole, like really have a grasp of this stuff if you're going to take the next steps.
Man, you contractors, man. I like you contractors, honestly. You guys are pretty cool, some of you guys. But you guys are just, if you don't know what you're doing, man, just give us a job. Let us do what we got to do, and we'll give you our invoice. Let us do. I don't want you ordering no material. I don't need you doing nothing out of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a number, and you fly with it, and I don't care what you make out of it. You can make triple of it, you know.
Right.
I don't care. Pay me my bill.
Yeah.
And I'm good. We can do it all day long.
So
some of you guys want to shortcut and, you know, make too much money.
Right. So with that being said, we need to figure out what it is for Fortress Fence here in Tulsa, what things you need to have established for pricing and costing to be able to price the jobs properly for the business.
Exactly.
Instead of just for Brandon.
Exactly.
Right.
Brandon's tired.
Yeah.
Well, I love it though. You know, I love owning the business, collecting my checks and doing all that kind of stuff. But I got more things I want to do. I got other businesses I want to run.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make something for my family so we can create our own.
Yeah.
Working with my kids, working for nobody.
I love that.
I'm working for me. Well, my daughter, she goes to OSU right now, Victoria Rose Newsom. Love you. I want her to take care of my business too.
Yeah.
Every kid have a different part of it and just build it and build it and build it.
That's sweet, man. Man, I know just by you saying that out loud, you know, and putting the work in that you have, we just getting those things in place to make that happen, utilizing like family and all those different people that you know already in the space that are looking for the come up, right? Especially on the labor side and stuff. Now we just need to make sure you've got those things in process.
Yes, sir.
The steps in place to take it to the next level. With the final thing of that is when you start to go outside the space, right? And you actually are treating it like a business and growing it like a business with all these people depending on you or whoever it is running it and selling it and stuff like that. Sales and market. So you got the sales side down. I mean, you're a great salesperson, man. So marketing. What have you done in the past for your brand or even for yourself here locally for marketing? I feel like most of it's been like referral based stuff.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
It's been completely referral.
All referrals.
I'm scared to advertise. I'm so busy. I'm just like so busy that I don't need to advertise. I'm so busy for one person.
Yeah. Right.
And you can't take it to the next level having one person.
Right.
And so with that being said, you got to learn how to trust somebody so I can move it along a little bit further. We'll get there. Eventually we'll get there. I just don't know what I'm doing with the marketing side with it, you know?
So we've partnered up with here in our office with Benji McKinney and CleverFox.online. And those guys handle all of our website stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They helped us refine our Google My Business listing, which is a big thing for you. Getting on Google Maps, getting a free Google My Business listing. It's changed a little bit, but that's a good first step for any new company, anybody out there looking to do any type of professional trade, getting on that. And then just getting into all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
social media is big. I see.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. And figuring out how that's going to work and what it's going to look like across the board.
Yeah.
But that's a whole litany of things. We're actually going to have Benji on one of the episodes coming down the pipe here, and we're going to talk about those specific things for fence companies. So I'll bring you up to speed on that. So we can get some of the the actionable things that he can walk through and get to you. But the Google My Business listing and the Google Maps listing now is the most important thing, hands down for sure, that you need to be looking at.
Like, what do you guys think about entrepreneur classes? Like, not really classes, groups.
As far as, name one for me.
Just any kind of entrepreneur group.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
Because all us fence guys, we actually all came together and thought,
yeah, that's true.
Throw ideas around and can.
Yeah, and that's hope. That's actually one of my hopes with this podcast is that it can create a forum where down the road we can. Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. So that's where we use the American Fence Association and what's going on there within our local chapter. So we've got, I'm the president this year of the Midwest chapter.
I see.
Which covers like Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Northwest Arkansas, and part of Iowa. And we get together a couple times a year.
Right.
And that's actually a great time to collaborate with people from other regional places, so maybe you're not necessarily talking to a competitor, but you're talking to someone else or whatever, or you're meeting just other people in town, understanding who some of the other players are in town, the big players, the small players, everybody shows up. So it makes it a lot of fun to network with those people. But coming up at the beginning of March is Fence Tech, and it's in Oklahoma City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So shame on the distributors that Brandon doesn't know that Fence Tech's coming down.
I don't know anybody.
No. So, but anyways, I'll get you some information on that. We'll have more information on that on the website at www.protectingyourradius.com. But that is like just going to Oklahoma City, man. So Fence Techs are national, once a year, our annual thing that we do. And everybody, 4,000 to 5,000 fence professionals from across the United States, Canada, Mexico, all over the world are there. And they're going to be down the road.
That's cool.
So you got to get to that. For sure. Like that is going to be a game changer for someone like you.
Yeah.
Because it'll show you too, like what possibilities are out there. And I think that's a big part of it. Like understanding that there's so many different directions you could go with your business, but then knowing that when you see the road has been laid out before you in hundreds of different ways, it makes it a little easier to be like what we've done here in a short period of time. This all happened because, of me meeting people that have much bigger visions and are much smarter than me.
That's dope.
And then I was like, dude, that's cool.
Podcast.
Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap this thing up. Let's put a bow on it. Any other thoughts you have as we close up here, man?
No, man.
Or any other questions?
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man.
Cool guy.
Man, I appreciate you coming in, asking these questions. Like I said, I know there's tons and tons of guys and gals out there that have the same questions. And this is just a springboard to start.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there does have additional questions about this after we've spoke about it, and we want to go back and come back and go through some of these things, email them into us, info@protectingyourradius.com. I would love to get any DMs and really deep dive into some of this stuff, because I think that Brandon, there's so much content there and so much information. It can be hard to swim through it sometimes. You have to take a step back and go like, okay, what's going on? Why is it going on? What's coming next? And that's where I see associations and groups like the American Fence Association, the AFA, why they're so integral to someone like me is because now I have these relationships where I can call these people that are way ahead of us in time. And I can be like, man, like this is tough. Here's what I'm up against. And I gave some numbers to one of my buddies, and in 2 seconds, he was like, oh, you're paying your labor too much. You need to bring your labor cost down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So would I just cut their pay? That's what I said.
There he goes.
Yeah. And he said, well, how about this? And what we found out was immediately after starting to dive into it, we realized that it was a revenue issue. It wasn't you see what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, my hard costs on my overhead weren't shifting, but with a dip in a little bit of revenue, it was inflating the labor because the numbers were smaller. But as soon as that revenue started to come back up, it leveled out to where it was supposed to be. Interesting concept. I didn't even know I should be looking at that, because I just thought, well, less revenue, you'll have to like overcome some other way. But then we did was, last year I shifted some dollars back into advertising. So like I was taking some things, putting more money into advertising to bring that revenue back up.
Yeah.
And as soon as immediately spent a couple $1,000 on advertising,
level back out.
The revenue came right back up. And then everything wasn't out of whack. But I was like, it was good for me to learn that early in this business.
Somebody almost got laid off.
Yeah. It was probably me. I'm like, daggum, I'm way too expensive. I need to get me out of here. But anyways, it was, So there's all sorts of stepping stones like that when you're working a business, starting a business. And, it's exciting.
Man, it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard out here.
But it's worth it.
Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Not everybody's ready for it,
Yeah.
If you're ready for it, you could just do it.
Yeah.
But you gotta go 1,000%.
Absolutely. Give it everything you got. It'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool, man. Brandon, again, appreciate you coming out here.
You guys have
great time. And as everybody knows, hit us up on the website, follow us on all the social media channels, radius_podcast. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
You've been listening to the Protecting Your Radius podcast from the LuxCore Studios in Bixby, Oklahoma. Thanks for sticking around, and connect with us and all of our partners at www.protectingyourradius.com. We want to thank our premier partners. LuxCore, the newest line of premium quality composite infill to slide into your fence track fence system. Frame your style today. Also, Stain Track, the world's first patented standalone stain machine. Utilizing flood coat technology, Stain Track covers boards, pickets, posts, and any type of dimensional wood you can think of. And what better way to use your Stain Track machine than to use the easy application Wood Defender family of stains. Wood Defender goes on easy and covers in one coat with no back brushing. And of course, the true power of our show is you, the listener. Please rate and review our show on whatever platform you consume this content. Your 5-star likes and reviews help other contractors get the message that we all want to be better and do better. And in the construction world, we can never forget that before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you've got to be bad. But before you can even be bad, you've got to try.